Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group, hittnergroup.com, Hittner group.com, 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you. And that call, of course, is no cost and absolutely no obligation. We just want to find out what it is that we can do for you and how we can best serve your needs. Okay, so big fall report coming up.
Big fall report.
Fall report. Same as fall, just about, is the point of it. The spring market is here, it seems, although I'm looking compared to our pre-COVID numbers, which is the baseline. I don't even look at the middle years, the low interest rate years, because they're just not representative of what's going on. But we are down about 12% from 2019 in terms of inventory levels and 13.4% in pending sales. So it isn't back yet. Not back yet. Had a conversation yesterday with someone. We were just talking about interest rates in general and the market in general. People always want to know, what's the market like, you know.
Yeah.
Are you really busy? Or some of them actually have the idea that the market is really poor.
Poor?
Yeah.
What do you mean by poor?
If you're not in the market, if you're not looking to buy or sell or whatever it is, you're just an observer from the outside. They have this notion that the real estate market is really bad and suppressed.
Really?
Yeah, and there's not any activity, and it's like, this is really about as close to normal as you can imagine. I mean, it's just a normal market. Buyers have leverage, and they're asking for concessions, and sellers are pushing back and saying nope, and there's actually a negotiation going on, regarding the property. We sold a property recently. You need a roof. Had to have the roof was shot. It's leaking. And, so we haggled back and forth, with the other party about putting the roof on. He's like, well, you didn't make an offer on a house with a new roof, so you're not going to be able to do that. But, obviously we think you should have a roof with some useful life on it, so we come to terms on that kind of. That's what's going on now, where a couple of years ago that conversation wouldn't even be had. I mean, it'd just be the buyer just had.
It seems like we have multiple offers on every deal.
Yeah.
Every deal. We have multiple. We're in multiples every deal right now.
Well, I mean, we're down 600 units from that pre-COVID thing, but we're up. Actually, it's about the same.
Year over year, what are we at?
Year over year, we're up about 300 units.
Okay.
281. I mean, it's just not that significant of a.
When you're out shopping around, there's people in there, and you are seeing multiple offers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the 2019 numbers, I was just pulled it up. Interest rates at that time were like it says 3.94 was the average interest rate.
In 2019?
2019, 3.94. So
yeah,
when
right
you're
under
comparing,
4. Yeah.
Yeah, you're comparing those two times, but of course values were a lot lower and interest rates were lower as well than current.
Yeah. I look at COVID as the main thing. I mean, that's the last year I've got numbers on that is pre-COVID numbers. Right now we got 5,294, 5,300 homes on the market. A year ago it was 5,000 homes. So we got, like I said, a little bit more than last year. Closings are about exactly the same as a year ago.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Pretty stable. I mean, to me, it's a stable market. Did we have multiple offers in the past? Yeah, we've had multiple offers for a decade. It's just, you can't even say like that's abnormal now. I mean, that's just like multiple offers. You get multiple offers. If you got a nice house in the appropriate price point, you're going to have multiple offers.
Yeah, in that like around median sales price, 400, 450, 375. I mean, that's a very popular place to be shopping, especially with rates, being lower, but values are up too. I mean, a split level home is going to be 375 to 4.25, depending on a few things. If it's got, the size over 2,000 square feet, maybe a third bathroom, 3-car garage, the numbers just, keep going up in terms of what that house will sell for. But those are in high demand. because you're looking at new construction start prices around $600,000 for a real single-family home.
Mm-hmm.
I say real single-family home because there's a lot of properties out there that are $450 to $550 that are these slab-on-grade 2 stories that are around 2,000 or 2,500 square feet, and they are very tight. That they're almost like detached townhouses. Yeah. There are associations in there. You can't put fences up because the land is all being maintained by an individual, by the association. So they don't want to have their lawn guys, going through there and trying to get in people's fenced areas. So you just can't put fences up. So that's what I mean by real single-family homes. Real single-family homes being 1,200 to 1,500 square feet on the main level, full upstairs, 4 beds up, master suites, and then the basement being there, and then
being there.
Yeah, being there. And then, having an association, but the grounds aren't being maintained by the association. Maybe there's a community pool and things like that. Those are
mailboxes.
Those are 600, 650, 685. Easy.
Yeah.
And pick your
builder
suburb.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. Woodbury, Lakeville, Maple Grove, Plymouth. Where Victoria, where these are being built. So they're all very similar.
Yeah, you're spot on. I'm working with the 3 different parties now, and we're looking at new construction existing in that price, in that tier, in that style of home that you've described. And you're right, they're all $650 to $750. I mean, that just seems to be where the median price of that property will land. And it doesn't matter which builder it is, doesn't matter which particular community it's in. And then you look at the used houses, the ones that are 10, 15 years old. They're right there too, a little less maybe, but they've got there's so much of an advantage of buying an existing property. I mean, the yard is in, the irrigation.
That's probably the biggest
deck
thing,
is
right?
built.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Yeah,
that.
the basement's finished.
The basement's
fences
finished.
up. The trees are mature.
Yeah, there's just such an advantage to that. But it's also 15 years old, so the appliances might be a little tired. The wood species might not be quite what you do. Maybe it's wood, not enamel. A lot of oak you see in some of those homes that are 15, 20 years old. You still see a lot of oak, which stands to reason because that's Minnesota. Minnesota's the oak capital of the world, I think. In that, what do you see with when I'm talking to people, though? I can just tell that there's a mood about them. They're positive. I mean, people are positive. There's no trepidation or there's no worry about the future. They seem to have positive outlooks. The people who are moving up they're excited about what's going on. It just seems like there's more of a stable foundation, if you will, about their attitudes. And even the empty nesters. I mean, there's some empty nesters that we are talking to. They're positive about it too. Where before they're kind of wait and see what happens. We're waiting to see. They're not waiting to see anymore. They're moving.
Really?
Yeah, they're moving.
Even with the stock market the last 2 weeks is
2 weeks.
tough.
I mean, that's a pretty short term, and that's like a child's viewpoint. But
yeah. Well, I've had people wait on what they're doing because they're nervous about the economy right now. Right? So,
really?
Yeah, they're nervous about what's going to happen short term and their job, and one is a job issue, working for the federal government, and one is I don't want to take this money out of my stocks because I lost so much money over the last 2 weeks. So, so people are waiting, so I think you're right, but there's a little bit, I think some people are a little nervous. Yeah.
There's always going to be
a little bit.
There's always going to be.
But overall, I think you're right,
Yeah. We're excited I'm excited about this year. Like I said last week, I'm busier than I've been in years. I mean, we're just busy. Stuff going on and all different things from probate work. We're busy there to move up buyers, their empty nesters moving out. I mean, it just seems like every area, there's no area that's not busy. I just think it's all over the place. The key is a nice property.
Right.
If you have a property that's got some hair on it, that needs some work, like you always say, Keith, if it's broke, fix it. If it needs paint, paint it. If it's dirty, wash it. it's got to be like that. You know, you can't put a property on the market. If you're listening, do not think of putting a property on the market that's got 15 years of deferred maintenance on it. You're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, there are some market times that have been extended out there with properties that need just that.
Mm-hmm.
So get it prepared.
Get it prepared and ready for sale. With that, we've got a couple of very, very nice 2-stories coming on the market. One is in Eagan for $725,000. Gorgeous, 4,200 square feet, 5-bedroom. Looks like a builder's model. I mean, it's just a showcase home.
Tell us about the other one after the break when we come back. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. Log on to hittnergroup.com, Hittner Group.com, and you can give us a call anytime. 612-627-8000. That number again is 612-627-8000.
Hey there, welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. Joe Warner's in the studio. He is going to talk about Warner Stallion and give us the lowdown on what's going on over there. You've had some changes going on over there.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Wow. There's lots going on. Thanks for having me back.
You bet.
Appreciate it. In 1986, we had our first expansion to South Minneapolis. That was also my first management gig. When I got promoted, I went and managed that store for a couple years.
And remind me where the original store was.
That's by the State Fairs.
Okay.
That's Snelling and Larpenter over there.
So
we were there for 30 plus years. That's where Grandpa started. And then in 1986, he's got these kids that are looking for more responsibility, and they expanded. And my dad tells the story great, that the timing of the expansion was awesome. They rode the coattails of the Twins and Jeff Reardon, the closer, it was Jeff Reardon for 1987. Yeah. Jeff Reardon, the closer, and that store has my heart in my first management experience, and a lot of those people are still there, but they're moving that store into the store that I currently manage, the Northeast Minneapolis outlet, that's connected to our warehouse in Northeast Minneapolis and houses a lot of different function for the company. A lot of people work out of that building. So
is that that's the Bloomington store that you're talking about now?
It once upon a time would have been known as Richfield Appliance.
Okay.
But it's in South Minneapolis. I think they redrew those lines sometime in the 80s possibly.
Okay.
So so you're closing that location, or what are you doing with that location?
We're moving it. I mean, we're any inventory that they can't sell before, we're not operating out of that location anymore. But I mean, if you walk into 5 minutes away, our Edina store, you can see the widest breadth of selection that we show at any of our stores. So as soon as we opened the Edina store, that
sucked all the oxygen out of the other one.
We made it an outlet.
Yeah.
And as soon as we opened the outlet at the location that I manage, we outshined in terms of just like what was
available,
what was possible, and how could we grow into this. There's only so much that we could do with that building over there.
So tell me what an outlet does.
So, everybody thinks of scratch and dent, and that's for sure, that's the case, yes. You get something out that's damaged, and you're going to have to discount it to move it. But also, we would have, in Minneapolis, which is where that store is, electric dryer. To buy an electric dryer is less expensive. The unit costs less, the install costs significantly less, because you're not dealing with gas permitting and things like that in the city of Minneapolis. Everybody wants an electric dryer, and the reality is very few people in those old Minneapolis homes actually have electric services for their dryers. Mm-hmm. Most everybody's gas, and we know this, and we try to guide customers, and sometimes people have run electric. Mm-hmm. So an element of trust, we get out there, and actually you need gas, and we have to take back this out-of-box unit. So a lot of the things that we have are fridges that didn't fit into somebody's home. We have to take back this out-of-box unit, dishwashers that are too tall for the opening. Things like that. So while there is scratch and dent, there's definitely pristine items there for significant discounts.
You'd think, Keith, that you'd almost measure that area before you bought something.
We would encourage that.
That would be a good encouragement, but some people just don't think about it. They think, well, they're all a standard opening. I know that, to talk to people. It's just a standard opening, What's the width? Well, I don't know. Standard.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as standard,
Right.
The opening is the opening. Talk about electric, just for curiosity. And you mentioned it now, so I'm curious about it because I have in our lower level, our main level laundry room, these under cabinet Gibson washer and dryer, little ones.
Yep.
Front loading. And the dryer is like original equipment. I mean, that baby has been serviced and reserviced and serviced again because I can't buy a dryer the same size, and it's a gas dryer, and I cannot buy. I can get electric.
I remember these machines.
Yeah, but I can't get a gas, and I don't have the service for an electric dryer.
You have a countertop over them.
Yes.
I think once you lose that countertop.
Oh, then there's all kinds of options.
Right.
Yeah, but my wife is like mortified at the thought of, because it's full
Right.
of stuff.
So good suggestion. Just take out the counter.
I suggested that to her.
Did you?
Yeah, so we can.
It's just in that one space.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other counter there.
I know.
Right?
You know my wife though. She's not having it. So
New electrical service is nothing to it's a big deal to run
It
a
is
whole
a big
new
deal.
electrical circuit over to that.
The mechanical room's right there, right out the back.
that's what I told her.
Okay.
Come right up and drop her down. Nope. Nope. It's not that easy.
We have a lot of people that are running new electrical service, getting rid of gas ranges, and they're putting in induction ranges, which is a great idea. But the new electrical service, it's almost like, so AHAM, they're the people that guide appliance regulation, and NEMA, the people that guide electrical, they did not talk.
Oh, nice.
So the appliances, something about the frequency that they operate at flips the circuits off, the brand new, perfectly installed and legal ground fault circuits that they're putting up. They're not agreeing in some cases. It's very
And that's with the induction?
Yes.
And so I have we built a garage unit for a guy who's a foundry. He makes knives and swords and stuff like that. It's his hobby. And he has an induction forge. And the service that we had to bring in for that forge was amazing. I had no idea. I had to bring in a separate service just for that forge. And I have always been a gas guy for cooking, but induction is really good.
It's very compelling, and a lot of people like it a lot. There is something about the flame and the visual, or the just looking at that. It seems to resonate with most people. But induction is coming right along.
Well, it's the the things have to touch. That's one thing. So with the flame, you're over it and you're tossing and all that stuff. As soon as you pull that thing off of the induction burner, it stops heating. So
oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be touching on it. But boy, you want to heat coffee like an induction little teapot or something like that, or coffee pot.
They have those?
Yes. In Europe, there it's a huge deal. They have their tea all the time. Well, they can make tea in like 10 seconds. I mean, it's just like instant.
Really?
It'll bring water boiling in just like seconds.
Instapot.
Instapot. Yeah, not quite that. It's a little quicker than Instapot, but yeah, it's like seconds coming up there. It's wonderful. What else is going on up at Warner Stillion?
I've been to Kansas City. We opened in the Kansas City market, 2 stores down there, which is just it's really special to go down there and meet people in a new market where our brand resonates. That's pretty neat. And
where in Kansas City are you?
We're in Leawood, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. So we have 2 stores there. We call the Kansas City, Missouri store the Northland store. I went to both grand openings. I drove down with my dad. We spent 6.5, 7 hours in the car each way. Just great conversation the whole time. Special time. My grandma comes to those. She's never missed a grand opening in her life.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
She's 94.
So who runs those? You got family down there then?
No, one of my brother's proteges, one of my peers now, Tim Frisbee, runs our Leawood, Kansas store. He's doing a great job. He's got a great crew down there, and they recruit good people from the area. We picked up a terrific outside sales rep that works with the trades out there. She knows everybody already. She's a local. She was with one of our competitors, and our brand resonated more with her, and she's a spark plug. She's amazing. Everybody knows her. And then the Northland store is someone that I brought from our delivery department, a female from our delivery department. She could do that job. And then she came and sold with me, and she was awesome at that, and she went and worked under my brother as a sales manager, got promoted to manager, and is running that store out there. Success story from Warner Stallion.
Yeah.
That's
Inside.
cool. How many stores do you have around the Twin Cities area?
So come March 17th, when our second store is no longer operating, we are going to have 9 stores in the local market.
Okay.
And then Rochester is the closest store.
Okay.
Outside of market.
When you're looking at new locations, what are you looking for to have like 9 in the cities? What is that, too many? Is it not enough? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think that we wish that we had more share in the Twin Cities, and we're not necessarily certain that adding more stores is the way that we're going to do that. I think that there's other things.
What do you think? What do you think would increase your footprint in the Twin Cities, if it's not physical location?
I think that when they close a store, that's that's trying to reduce maybe some of the confusion about our. I'm trying to call the outlet. Which outlet am I talking to? The South Minneapolis location that was beautiful and gorgeous. You mean the Edina location? There's some of that I think you might call oversaturation, and you remove some of that and maybe just have more of a concise brand message.
Okay.
That might actually resonate with our customer base here, the way that we're seeing it when we go into other markets as well.
Cool.
Well, we're going to head out to break here. More with Warner Stallion when we return. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. Of course, you can Google Warner Stallion and find all their locations. 9 metro locations, 1 in Rochester. Thanks for coming in. We'll talk more next segment. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk, 612-627-8000.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group, hittnergroup.com, Hittner Group.com. 612-627-8000 is the phone number to call, 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling. Joe Warner's in the studio. We're talking about expansion of the Warner Stallion brand. 2 things that kind of stuck with me. One is you went into Kansas City in that market, and you said that your brand resonated with that community. What's that mean?
Well, I think that's the answer to how do we plan expansion, or how do we what's the vision behind that? Ordinarily, we're going into a market where there's not a strong independent presence.
Okay.
For appliances, what do
you mean by independent? Are you saying you versus like a Home Depot, a Menards,
that always
Lowe's?
exists. They always have a presence, but it would be someone else like us, or in the same vein as an independent, where it's privately owned and they don't have a bazillion stores, but they're going to have a local and a loyal customer base, local presence. We don't want to compete with that and take share from that necessarily. And frankly, there probably would not be a hunger for us. Our brand wouldn't resonate. But then you go into a market, say, for instance, Kansas City. And I think that the closest thing to a Warner Stallion that they have is a Nebraska Furniture Mart. And they're certainly a formidable competitor. They do a lot of appliance work, and there's also a Ferguson home appliance out there, which they're a national chain, builder specialist kind of national chain.
Yeah.
And so we're more of the retail replacement specialist, and that's always how we built our brand, and we'll arrive to market as such. That is still our specialty.
Talk about like you have a store in Rochester.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like a Duluth market or Fargo-Moorhead area?
Yeah. I know that I'm not involved in this expansion planning, but I'm close to it. I'm connected to it. I understand it. So we're not.
You hear about it over dinner.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I ask questions like, where are we going? What about this? What about that? I've spent a lot of time in Duluth because that's where my wife is from.
Okay.
And they have Johnson Mertz Appliance up there is a strong, independent. My father-in-law, my late father-in-law, was an appliance service technician. No connection to how I met my wife, but it just so happened that I could talk shop with my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He was just way in the business up there with their local company. So, we don't want to disrupt that and take share. If we could find a way to work with that independent and just specifically take share from the box, we would do that, but
Okay.
it's not possible.
What's the box?
The
big
box? Yeah, Home Depot. Like, just
Those?
give us all of that. Lowe's, give us
Okay.
all of that business that would walk through those doors.
How do you think you compete? And what's the advantage to a Warner Stallion over a big box store? Is it so address pricing and address knowledge of who's selling the product?
I think the bigger thing is, yes, who's selling the product, although customers can go on to really great websites with and a lot of times they can just do all of the research on their own and sell themselves. Our customers are smart. It's the physical act of getting the appliance into their home without damaging their home or their brand new appliance that Warner Stallion has earned that trust, and we continue to train and lift people internally as much as we possibly can so that they understand their responsibility for that very valuable portion of the customer experience.
I think from my standpoint, because you guys just replaced our wall ovens a year ago, and when I went to your store in Apple Valley, there were people there that they were asking questions. For one thing, how big is my space? What's the availability? How much was I wanting to spend? Showing me options, explaining the difference between one brand versus the other, and having the selection available that you're just not going to find at a big box store. I mean, they've got the whatever walks out the door itself with very little explanation at a price point. That's what you're going to find in there. When we were running garden centers, that was the same way. I mean, that's category killers, we call them. That's what they do. They take the 80-20 stuff and throw it in there that you can put a price on it, and no one has to explain how it works. That's what's going to come out of there. As soon as you have any kind of a specific need, or you have a specific cooking style or something like that, you really want someone that you can have a conversation with.
You've done this before.
Yeah.
You've guided someone successfully before. You can almost tell, the confidence of the person would probably, so you probably know within just a few questions,
Yeah.
like, he's done this before.
Yeah.
It's nice to know.
Yeah, and off the top of the head, knowing, this brand, and they pull out the list.
Gives you some confidence to take that, to take that next step toward the buy line and say, I'm gonna go this direction. So you've got someone that's got confidence guiding you. Did that go well then, I hope?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I want to just change directions one time, because I'm always curious about family businesses that have been very successful and been around for a long time. You know that there's a generational change and transition in that business, and very few family businesses make it even to the second generation, let alone to the third. Many times.
Is yours the third?
I'm in
right
the
now?
third.
Third,
Yeah.
okay.
So many times when you see the third generation, actually they will bring in an outside CEO to actually run the company. Family still may be involved, but the leadership kind of changes there as they move into that. How is your family work? How's that structure work?
We have about 500 employees, give or take, and our CEO is not a family member. Bob Warner and Bill Warner are the last remaining employees from the second generation. Everybody else is retired. And they're doing a great job. Bill's the president. Bob is the CEO. Bill is the president. And we have a non-family COO. I have to correct that.
All right.
It's been morphing a lot lately, and I think that those guys are also gearing toward finishing up at some point in the next maybe 5-10 years, if not sooner. So, that's something that I believe they've been very, from a leadership succession standpoint, they've been very vocal about that family members aren't guaranteed a seat just by virtue of being in the family. That would be more of an ownership thing.
Right.
Leadership would be different, and so that's a demonstrated thing. And I think they're making great moves. I really do.
So executive leadership is one thing. Then
Yep.
there's the board and ownership, as you so adequately described it. So what input then do you have as a family member, as a owner or legacy, into the direction? Do you have meetings and input on that?
Absolutely, yeah. I've served. I'm the second oldest in my particular branch of the family that we call the Duff Warner branch.
Okay.
My older sister served a couple years on our family board before. I served my couple years. My next youngest sister is in the middle of serving her couple years. We've chosen to do it that way. You do not need to do it that way.
Yeah.
We've had some people just serve. They're not the oldest. They've been on for 5 years. There's bylaws. That all works.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that is not the same thing as the board. And then there's a board. And we have outside board members that are very very successful people at other outside businesses they were handpicked and they're paid to be on the board, and there's some Warner Stellian governance that's on that board as well. That's also changing because people get older, and third generation gets older. They'd like to really get very serious about bringing someone from my generation onto that board. Yeah, it moves very quickly. I will say that as I watch my dad, and some of the people that I really respect start to wind down in their careers, it starts to look very real. My brother was promoted recently to a higher position, and you start to see these things morph, and it's really, really cool to be a part of it.
What's a day in the life look like for you? Because you're running that's good, but I'm just always curious, like, what's the day in the life for you?
There's a lot that goes on at my building because there's many trucks. We've got a fairly large fleet that starts their day at my building. And once all of that, our service techs get going, our install techs get going, once all of that happens, then we're kind of a normal store with a warehouse operating behind us, and we're kind of disconnected.
With a warehouse over there.
Yeah, we don't talk to the warehouse that much. We're running our store, and we're doing our store stuff and helping customers. And, we really hope that when a customer drives up that it doesn't necessarily look like a warehouse unless that's what they're looking for. And you'll have to pay attention to see if that's what they want.
Yeah, you want to service your retail customers how they...
Yeah. We talk about softening it up. We want it to look like, you're pulling up to a store and you're going to make a purchase and get a great value.
Right. All right.
Well, for the folks that don't want to Google, why don't you give us your website for Warner Stellian?
The website is www.warnerstellian.com. Come take a look at the Northeast Minneapolis outlets someday. Get to that South Minneapolis moving sale. Those deals, it's clearing out quick. They won't have much left. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in. 612-627 is our 8000 is our number. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. It will be
great. So give me a quick update. I've got stuff. I'm Joe Warner's still with us with Warner Stellian. So I had one other question.
Okay.
He didn't answer my question.
All right.
So from last segment, so we're going to dive back into that. I'm going to press him a little bit.
What is the question?
Well, we'll get to it. Give me inventory real quick.
Inventory is the market is stable as a stable can be. About 5,300 homes on the market in the 7-county metropolitan area, flowing through nicely at about 800 homes a week. It's been like that for 5 years. It's just a wonderful, wonderful real estate market. If your home is priced correctly, well prepared for sale, it's going to sell. In most price points, you're going to have more than one offer on the property. If it's got some hair on it, then you shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Junior, give me an idea a little bit on what do you need for buyers right now, and what inventory do you have coming on?
I am looking for like 420. I'd like 5 bedrooms preferably.
Okay.
But for South Metro, really anywhere in Rosemount, maybe Lakeville, Apple Valley. And then also looking for a
what
nice,
price line?
For like 400, 425. The things that are on the market, I looked just the other day for Apple Valley specifically. There's like 14 homes on the market, and 10 of them are sold in some fashion. So there's like 4 of them. 2 of them are rough and sitting there, and 2 of them just don't meet the criteria.
Yeah. Rehab loan.
Yep. Could you do one of those? You know how to do those?
Know how to do them. Number 1 rehab lender in the country, renovation loan lender.
Yeah.
So, good. Thank you for that. So I'm going to touch on mortgage real quick. Headlines, as always, mortgage rates move slightly higher. I just want to read the first little piece here because that's deceiving because we've had the article starts with, it's been a great couple weeks for mortgage rates, largely mirroring the terrible couple of weeks for the stock market. A combination of downbeat economic data and economic concerns help push investors away from stocks and into bonds, where it helps us, right? So, so we had a nice little improvement. So now you're going to have your rate start with a 6, right? So you're going to have a 30-year fixed money is going to have a 6 in front of it. We locked one yesterday, 6.575, kind of a weird rate, but that was nice. It's a home ready, home possible type loan, so rates are a little bit better there. And then, but yesterday afternoon we had a little pullback, right? So, it said we already saw the end of a bond's 9-day winning streak with yesterday's big midday reversal. So we had a little reversal yesterday. Some economic data comes out. There's it's going to be a mixed bag because nobody's sure, right? So if you watched the president on what night? Tuesday night. Tuesday night. There's so much going, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much investment going into the country, but none of those things are happening right now. And as it's coming, right?
Yeah.
But you don't all of a sudden have like $500 billion investment. They're bragging about all this stuff, which is great.
It's a commitment.
But it doesn't, but it's not, no one's pounding nails yet, right?
Yeah.
So you have that. And then he also talked real clearly about going to have, with all the tariff stuff, all that, if you tariff me 40% and I'm tariffing you 10, it's going to be 40-40. We're going to be equal. So whatever you tariff me, I'm going to tariff you. So there's a lot of this rhetoric going back and forth to kind of get an even playing field. And he said that could cause a little disruption. Farming community, potentially a little disruption. So when you hear that, then I think people get a little nervous, and I think that's what we've been experiencing on the stock market, So I'm okay with that. I like that rates are in the 6s, and I like the fact that everybody says, right, we talked about it every week where, National Association of Realtors, Redfin, mortgage bankers, everybody's saying rates are going to be in the 6s. So no one's sitting here going, oh, I'm just going to wait for that 4.5. It's coming.
Right.
Everybody says it's coming. No one's saying it's coming.
Right.
So when I'm talking to people and they're saying, well, when's it going to get in the 5s? It's not.
At coffee, we were talking, that when I built the house that we're in right now 25 years ago, it was 6%.
Yep.
Keith bought investment
22,
property.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. 6.875.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
Right there.
being in the 6s, we're in good shape. So I like where we're at. We're busy. We're seeing a lot of pre-approvals right now. Now we're just like, man, can you guys
Get
sell?
one.
Can you get out there and sell
Could you
something?
guys sell something now?
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
we're doing our part. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't sell the property for you, but doing our part, of course.
Got all that snow. It's got a high.
It's all that snow, man. So I want to go back to Joe real quick. So I asked at the end of the last segment, like, what his role is, but then he started talking pretty broad, like, well, we have trucks coming in. Well, I don't know. Are you driving the truck? Are you directing the truck? Like, what's your, like, when are you at the store? What do you do? Where do you go to the warehouse first? Do you come? Are you
Did
talking?
my boss send you these questions?
Can you just give me 5 bullet points last week?
What the hell are you? What are you really doing?
today.
You can't do that. Then
No, but
your
I'm
paycheck
because I always love that piece. Like
On my day off, I come and do radio shows with fine folks. I'll show up usually at 7:30. I've got one associate that's in the store, and like I said, there's lots going on around me, and I'd like to kind of hone in on my day and focus in. So I'll sit in my office for a while if I have phone calls to make. People that I know can take a phone call earlier than 9 o'clock. I have a meeting at 8:30 with my team where we hype up. We talk about special things that we have going on, or
and that team isn't the warehouse team.
my sales
that team is your sales
I
team.
run a sales team. I manage a showroom at our Northeast Minneapolis outlet. So with all of this transition, my time has really been very devoted to making sure that this transition from 2 outlets to 1 outlet at my location is a success. And honestly, that's what I've been doing for over a year, because a year ago is when we started to transition to another outlet.
But what does that mean, like you do when I'm working on the transition? What does that mean?
Right, I have to call down my my offering on the floor to make room for the appliances that are going to come in. So we have to be able to house these and not make it look like a train wreck in my store. It needs to look professional and well kept.
Okay.
And so we're tightening aisles and just arranging the floor plan in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
So you can handle more stuff.
What part
More
of
stuff, and our customers need to feel comfortable. It needs to be compliant so that people can roll around in there if they're in a wheelchair. All the things.
what part of your job do you enjoy the most?
Working with people.
Okay.
Still, our customers and the people that the sales team, I
Okay.
love to see them succeed. As I tell them, like, I want you to be able to do all of it for your customers so that, you feel empowered to handle it. They had something that didn't quite go the way that they wanted to, and that your response is, I'm really sorry about that. Here's what I can do, and that it's a good thing that your customers enjoy that, because that happens. It's a tricky. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So we do run into those types of scenarios where the team needs to step up and do that, and when they succeed, I love that. I love to.
That's great.
Love to pump them up.
Being empowered at Warner Stallion, Joe Warner.
How do you find product availability?
Well, outlet product is always available right then and there. So
I'm just talking about in general.
In
so
general?
like inventory availability. Is everything available? Are you finding shortages? Or?
There's still shortages. I think if it takes 300 parts, they're missing one. They can't build the item.
Yeah.
So they're sourcing this one part from who knows where overseas, and the quality check on it failed. Well, now the production is slowed, and this backlog is created when they get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has persisted since COVID. It was really bad during COVID. I think everybody knew that. Now
and accepted it.
Accepted it, sure. And
Now they don't accept
now
it.
they
They
don't-
do
they're
not.
no.
It's like they've forgotten, but it's still true.
Yeah.
Some of the sourcing, maybe it's not smart sourcing. Maybe, but that it just slows everything down, and it still happens
Good.
a fair amount.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it coming in. Appreciate
Anytime.
having you here. So
Thank you,
a couple
guys.
other things I want to touch on the mortgage side. What I ran into, I just like to share things we ran into. A lot of people have some banged up credit. Seems like we're dealing with right now. So if you have banged up credit and you're not sure you can get something done, give me a call. There's a credit builder credit card that we don't do ourselves, but we have a relationship with. So I'm helping people with that, build credit. And then there's another one. We have a lot of people are carrying a lot of credit card debt. And there's another credit union we do work with, 2.99 zero balance transfer. They always charge you like, hey, transfer your balance over here, but they charge you 3% to do it.
We'll just throw it on the balance.
Yep. Yeah, right. I know, it's crazy. So this has 0% transfer fee, and it's like 2.99 for 2 years, and then it goes like to 13% as the max, which is huge. I mean, that's literally about 12 points under what the market's at
Right, so
for
you
a
can
credit
get
card.
it there for a low rate and get it
Yeah.
banked
So
out,
we're trying to do some of that to help set people up. So it also brings down then what that monthly payment is on their credit report. So it's we're working, it's kind of like you're building over here, because we know we're going to get these people into a home eventually, but we're doing a lot of pre-work right now as well. So understand that we can do that as well. It's not just, you don't have to be perfect, but we do want to help you. So Kelvin Kamink, Loan Depot, helping people make smarter decisions regarding their mortgage and their money.
Call Calvin 651-231-2500. Again, Joe Warner, thanks for coming in. Warner Stallion.
Thanks, guys.
Outlet store closing in South Minneapolis, right? So get there. They're blowing their inventory out, so you can get yourself some good deals there. Warner Stallion, find them online. And, of course, this is Real Estate Chalk Talk. Log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, Hittner group.com, and give us a call, 612-627-8000.